Welcome back to the show. And if it isn't a scandal about one spare, well, it's a scandal involving another. Now, Prince Harry co-founded Centre Bale in 2006, a charity in Lesotho, Africa, dedicated to supporting children and young people affected by HIV/AIDS. Now, earlier this year, he resigned from his role in bitter dispute with the chair, Dr. Sophie Chanduka. But that wasn't the end of it. Joining me now is Royal Editor for the Daily Mirror, Russell Myers. Russell, we've covered the unfolding scandal regarding Centre Bale a few times on this show. The British Charity Commission has now handed down its report. What did the Commission find and what's been the reaction from those involved?
Well, it's been a bit of a mixed bag, Caro, and I don't think it's gone the way that Prince Harry would have thought or even liked, to be honest, because, as you said, he did step back from the charity that he founded with Prince Seeiso of Lesotho back in 2006. It was in both of their mothers' memory. They both lost their mothers at a young age. And they wanted to try and, change the fortunes of the least fortunate children in the country. And it has done some incredible work over the years. Certainly one of Prince Harry's pillars of his work. And I think he would have seen it as one of his life's work. Certainly he wanted to take it forward in a private capacity when he's, left the royal family. But there was a distinct issue between the board and the chair of the trustees, a woman called Dr. Sophie Chanduka. Prince Harry and Prince Seeiso felt that there was such a dispute that they had to step back from the charity. That was obviously leaked to the British media. And then there was sort of this explosion, this war of words between the chair, the board of trustees, who were also threatening to step down, and Harry and Prince Seeiso. So the Charity Commission got involved, and they have given a ruling this week that said, while there wasn't claims of bullying, harassment, misogyny that Dr. Chanduka had claimed, and she had claimed, pretty vociferously on British television, that war of words was continuing. But the Charity Commission has said, whilst that wasn't proved, there certainly was a sort of an ill feeling from many, many people within the charity. And I think that, while Prince Harry has said that this judgment hasn't gone the way he wanted, he has been accused of sort of cherry-picking statements from that report. And he finds himself in a pretty difficult position. He's left the charity. He's saying he's going to continue the work in that space in a private capacity. But I think the real issue is certainly the children at the centre of this charity, the people that it was actually set up to help. And they are sort of left wanting in this situation that has been described as pretty ugly between the two warring camps. So one would hope that it can get settled as much as possible and people can sort of move on as quick as possible.
Totally agree, and such a shame for all involved. Now, next week marks the 80th anniversary of VJ Day, and we understand the royal family will be out in force commemorating the occasion. What's planned?
Well, of course, big anniversary, not only for the royal family, of course, they would be expected to be front and centre of this. But I revealed this week that the King will be leading tributes. He's penned a personal address that will be going out on the morning of Friday, August the 15th. And of course, it signals the end of the Second World War. Victory over Japan. We saw the royal family out in force at VE Day as well. Lots of commemorations throughout the UK and the rest of the world. But King Charles wants to sort of not only commemorate the service, the sacrifice, and indeed the loss over the Second World War, but he will be not only visiting the National Memorial in the Midlands in the UK, but also he will be meeting veterans. I saw that for myself at Buckingham Palace when the King and Queen, the Prince and Princess of Wales, and indeed Prince George put his sort of best foot forward for his real, I suppose it was the biggest job of his royal life to date, where he was sitting down with those veterans, talking to them. The veterans were telling him at Buckingham Palace that it was so important for him to be there and to listen to the stories, to take that forward to the next generation. I think that not only the royal family, but Prince George will look back on that experience in many, many years to come, because when he is king, I think that these anniversaries are very important for the royal family to recognise. So we're going to see the King and Queen meeting veterans. We're going to see the Duchess of Edinburgh going to a care home, talking to veterans about their experiences as well. And this is not only in the UK. There will be many, many commemorations all across the world to pay tribute to the life, service and sacrifice of that greatest generation.
Absolutely, and there's increasingly less and less of those veterans around, and I think it's very important for us to commemorate that sacrifice while they're still here. Now, we spoke earlier in the show about Andrew Lowney's new book regarding the Yorks. And look, there's been quite an interesting piece in the UK Telegraph this week about whether Prince William could strip Andrew of his title. Now, what's your view on the allegations in the book? And do you think that there could be further or future ramifications for Andrew?
Well, it's hard to see what more there is for Prince Andrew to lose. I mean, he's been stripped of his military appointments, his patronages. He's been forced to step down in disgrace after his relationship with convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein was unearthed mostly by himself in that infamous BBC Newsnight interview in 2019. But this book by Andrew Lowney is absolutely explosive. I mean, I've read it. I couldn't believe the sort of allegations that were coming out. I mean, not only sort of details, further details of Andrew's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, with his relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's lover, who's serving a 20-year sentence in a maximum security jail in the United States, but also details of alleged infidelity by Prince Andrew and the Duchess of York, details of her sort of wild spending, how she treated staff. It just was a sort of cascade of pretty terrible claims about their conduct and attitude whilst in the royal family. And I think, really, well, I think we've said this before, haven't we? But this must be the last straw for Prince Andrew. We saw the Duchess of York sort of put her case across to the British media wearing slippers at a book launch saying never complain, never explain. And that was certainly the late Queen's motto. And we know why Sarah was so close to her. But indeed, Lowney said that the reason was because the late Queen was paying off Sarah's debts. She's racked up huge debts whilst being a member of the royal family. She really couldn't control this sort of wild, bombastic lifestyle that she was leading. So for Andrew, will he be stripped of further appointments? Well, it's hard to see where that can go because he hasn't got a role within the royal family. The king is trying to force him out of his Royal Lodge mansion. He's staying put because he says he has a 75-year lease on the property. So there's lots of issues for Prince Andrew in his world, and most notably the King and the Prince of Wales really want him to sort of fade away into the background, stop making noise, stop trying to think there is a way back into the royal fold. And, if I was a betting man, I can't see any way back for Prince Andrew. And I certainly think when Prince William takes the throne, then he'll be further cast out into the wilderness.
And I think that's a pretty safe bet. And in a similar vein, a piece by John McLeod in the Daily Mail advocates that Charles has to put the throne first and keep a bit of distance between the family and the Sussexes. Given recent events, do you think that any reconciliation is likely to happen? And if so, do you think it's even advisable?
Well, first and foremost, the two issues with his brother, the Duke of York, and his estranged son are very, very different, of course. And Harry and Meghan, I think, have been making a concerted effort to try and take the sting out of the relationship, not only with the king, but the rest of the royal family. Of course, the king is still undergoing his cancer treatment. I think the Sussexes have been, acutely aware of that in recent times, possibly not so much over the last few years, because they've been doing, chats with Oprah Winfrey, Netflix series, Harry's explosive memoir Spare. However, there is appetite, I think, certainly from Prince Harry's and the King's side to try and see if there is a new path to a new relationship. Just a few weeks ago, we saw the King's communications secretary, Tobin Andrea, meet up with Harry's new spokespeople in a London private members club. That absolutely got people talking in royal circles, because could this be the green shoots of a new relationship? I think there is still a long, long way to go, and Prince Harry certainly needs to stop talking about members of his family, stop criticising them, get on with the rest of his life. He's had a lot of court cases to deal with. He's still got further court dates to settle with the British media. He's walked away from Sentebale, one of the sort of jewels in his crown, I suppose, and he will want to try and pick himself up and work out what the next direction is for him before any sort of path to reconciliation is put in front of him for the rest of the royal family.
That's some pretty good advice. Let's hope he takes it. Now, I've got a little less than a minute for you, but a cracking front page in your masthead, The Mirror, this week. Queen Camilla, lovely sundress, standing on board a yacht. What's the story here?
Well, the story has actually split opinion. Queen Camilla was on holiday in Greece and no doubt enjoying a bit of downtime. She's been a fantastic ambassador for the royal family over the last couple of years while the King and Princess of Wales have been suffering from cancer and leaving their duties for a time. But, the yacht that she was on, sort of a $60 million, very fancy yacht, is owned by a significant donor to the Conservative Party. And it begs the question whether senior members of the royal family, such as the Queen, who are supposed to be apolitical, should be having relationships with such political donors. As I said, it's certainly split opinion. Nobody is saying that Camilla shouldn't have and enjoy a holiday after all her hard work. But is this the right look for Camilla or the royal family? And I think that it's certainly a discussion a lot of people are having at the moment.
I think so, and I think there's always going to be something that divides opinion. Thank you so much, Russell Myers. And as we wrap up the show tonight, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to our viewers for staying with us throughout the past almost 3 years of the Royal Report. It's been an absolute privilege to bring you the latest on the royal family. For the final time, thank you for watching.